Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This title is a lie. This is our historic Marvel Snap video. In this video, we used to give you the top 5 decks that were on the Infinite Leaderboard in the previous month, but we now know enough people, we get enough extra help and support from people, that we're actually going to give you the top 10 decks of the last season of Marvel Snap, along with a prediction for 5 that were not on the list in the previous month that I expect to be on the list for the next. We're going to kick it off with just going over what the top 10 players were in February, technically 11. I was unable to find exactly one of these players' list, the number 10 player Guernica. So if anyone knows Guernica, please put me in touch so that we can take care of this oversight. It worked for Burs last month, right? So if anyone knows Guernica, let me know. We were able to find every other deck from every other person. So number 11, we have Braude. Then number 10 spot, we got Guernica. Number 9, the great HuskyPuppies, one of our first streamer. Actually, Braude and Husky are streamers. So is Crazy. MSL Chamoo at number 7. Burs, our friend Burs at number 6. Bot, a newer player at number 5. Jaco, the top player of the Italian meta at number 4. BBAK in number 3, our only player on the Asia server here. Number 2 is the great Derek, who climbed in a very short amount of time. And number 1 for the millionth season in a row is Sizer, although it looks like in the current season he's up for some real trouble. Before we get to the list, please hit that sub button if you're willing. We do more Marvel Snap content than anyone and cover the game in ways that no one does. We do every spotlight guide. We do every leak, every bundle review, everything you need for your Marvel Snap journey, including all the best decks before anyone else. We are also the only people doing historical content. So if you find value in this kind of thing, please hit that sub button at the bottom right corner. Even Second Dinner doesn't keep track of this stuff. We are literally the only ones. So if you'd like to have a better overview of Marvel Snap overall, which will, I promise you, make you a better and smarter player, please hit that sub button, like, and comment. All right. Oh, before we talk about Braude's deck, we're doing giveaway winners later this video. So if you're like, go, where's the giveaway winners, Goober? It happens later this video, I promise. So Braude is at twitch.tv/Braude. He's also Marvel Snap Bugle over on Twitter. He is on the Asia server. He is, I guess he's the only other person on the Asia server. He played one deck 99% of the time, played a little bit after this deck was nerfed, but one deck 99% of the time. It was Derek's Scream Surtur list. This list was the meta, arguably the best deck in the game for most of the season, and then it was nerfed into oblivion when Arrow went down to 9 power and Surtur was changed to only give +2. This deck stopped being a deck. This deck fundamentally stopped existing. It might exist with Agamotto. We'll have to test and figure that out. But for the time being, that deck completely stopped existing, and thus Braude ended up falling like 3 or 4 spots. He was in the top 10 most of the season with this list with an insane win rate. I have no idea about Guernica. Again, please put me in touch. I know Guernica's on the EU server. That's all I got. From there, we go HuskyPuppies, who's on the America server, streams at HuskyPuppies35 on Twitch all the time. Great streamer. Husky played 2 real lists in his climb. He played a lot of lists, but his climb to rank 11 was with the Husky Victoria hand list. And then he has the Good Bird list, which is an update of his old Good Machine list that he was used to climb all the way to peaking, I believe, at rank 4 before falling back down to rank 9 for the end of the season. So Husky's Derek update. This is originally a Derek shell that he created when Victoria Hand first came out, and then added Moonstone in once Moonstone came out. Oh, this is the slightly wrong version. Excuse me. This should run Nico in that 1-drop spot, and this should run Iron Patriot in that over Mirage in that 2-drop spot. Outside of that, the list is the same. It is very good, very consistent, very powerful. What it sort of does is it makes a bunch of freaking demons with misery. Those demons are 8 to 10 power. You'd really, generally speaking, for this list, like to double Victoria Hand, whether with Frigga or Moonstone. If you can do either of those, you usually win the game. It is a lot of power and a really cool list. From there, we have Husky's Good Bird. This is a take on his old Good Machine list, which ran Luna Snow in that Red Wing slot. Oh no, this one runs Luna too. This one, it ran something else extra, whatever. In order to ramp some extra cards. Oh, it ran K Bishop. As a way to sort of get some extra ramp. This one now runs Red Wing, and now we have Ghost Spider and Aranya in the list for that as an extra way to throw out a Magneto, an Infinite, or an Alioth. Really cool, very powerful list. This is the list that we're going to talk about today that I am worst with. For whatever reason, this one does not work with my brain. Well, basically everything else does, but Husky absolutely dominates with this list. It's like his favorite list. It's one of his babies. It's incredibly strong. Next up, we have Crazy. You can find Crazy at twitch.tv, says crazy_IM. He's on the EU server. He was number one last March and April. So March and April of last year, he was number one both times with Thanos. Unsurprisingly, he started his climb this time with Dark Hawk Bounce before peaking at rank, I want to say either 2 or 3 with a Thanos list. One of the best Thanos players in the world. So we have the Crazy Dark Hook, which was a Dark Hawk Bounce list. We have another version of this, a more up to date with werewolf stuff version of this in um, this morning's video. If you're interested in checking that out with a turn by turn and a full guide, it's an incredibly strong list. I'm not in love with Sable right now. Sable hitting those spells is real feels bad. But outside of that, this list is absolutely incredible and very well positioned into the meta because Darkhawk and Cassandra Nova are amazing into an Agamotto meta. From there, we have Thanos. He has since added Agamotto over Super Skrull and Shang-Chi over something else, I think Hydra Bob. Shang-Chi to this list. But the list is fundamentally saying, I go big, I go over the top, I crush you with all my extra stuff. It's got Wiccan for extra energy. This list is awesome. It's very strong and very consistent. A lot of people have been climbing with this list. It's been very good. Again, Crazy is one of the very best Thanos players in the world and brought Thanos back at a time when, I guess he and Derek were the only ones really playing it. Gorgon being very good into countering the meta right now is again impressive. And once more, this is running Agamotto and Shang-Chi. So if you're missing, if you have bought the season pass, and you're missing one of the other high series stuff, feel free to throw Agamotto and Shang in here. We covered this list last week. Next up, we have, I wrote Champ, damn it, Chamoo, MSL Chamoo. Thanks, autocorrect. This is Chamoo. You can find on Twitch at Chamoo92. Chamoo is a Spanish speaker, so be forewarned. He's on the America server. He played 4 lists, 5 lists, Chamoo Galactic Control, Wiccan Hand, Wiccan Galacta, his take on the Cook, and the Last Wiccan. So a lot of these lists are fairly similar. They're basically either Galacta lists or Wiccan lists. We're going to look at them relatively quickly because they are similar. The first one we're going to look at is the Galactalist, and what I'd like to note about this Galactalist is this has sort of become the meta. This Zabu with Iron Patriot, right? Along with Shang, Enchantress, Galactic, Gwenpool, and Juggernaut has become the meta with Agamotto decks, whether they be in there or not. It's like all the top decks. And Chamoo was a month ahead of the curve with these, which is really cool. Galactic and Gwenpool are probably the two most important mid-rangey cards in the game right now. And again, this is an incredibly strong list. Next up, we have the Wiccan hand list. This is a slightly different Wiccan list that's trying to abuse there's no Victoria hand in this. Why did I call this the Wiccan hand list? Whatever. Uh, yeah, because I featured all of Chamo's lists and pulled them all off on tap. But this is a nice, simple Wiccan list that's basically saying I play all my cards on curve. I get Wiccan. I should be able to win. Yeah, good list. Basically trying to copy Iron Patriot here. A significantly better list is this other Wiccan list that does the more consistent ramp thing. This one combines the Galactic Gwenpool stuff with the Wiccan stuff. You also have Luke to protect against when the Afflict deck started going all over the place. Enchantress was better for a time than Shang. I think Shang is better right now, but at the time Enchantress was better. And again, this looks like a modern shell for this month. Then we have the Chamoo version of the Cook, and this version is still absolutely cooking. Some people are writing Agamotto in it. I don't think Agamotto belongs here, but this list is absolutely cooking right now. It is doing the Galactic Windpull thing, but saying instead of getting cute, let's just run Mockingbird and Sasquatch. Let's go right over the top. Again, current versions of this deck try and run Shang-Chi. We have Crime Afoot with a version that runs Ghost over Elsa as a way to like say, I'm going to Shang and have Prio. So this list is very cool and very powerful. Again, Elect and Gwenpool are the keys to the meta right now, outside of Hello decks, but that's not for here or now. And then Mockingbird or Sasquatch are just like so big at the end of the game that if you can play them after a Mysterio on turn 5, for example, you're just ridiculously ahead, especially if you don't have Prio. And then finally, Chamoo finished the season with this list, which is yet another Galacta list, although no Gwenpool this time. It's Galacta and Wiccan again. This one with Mockingbird. Mockingbird gets cheaper from your Iron Patriot card, from your Sam Wilson Shield, and from your Kate. And plus, obviously, you have Wiccan here for the extra energy, Galacta here for extra power. This is again right before Shang replaced Enchantress in most of these decks, or you're running both. But this is a very good list, very powerful. Again, we're looking at really good stuff from Chamoo, and these are all similar archetypes. This archetype that has sort of taken over the meta, which is the Galacta Gwenpool midrange, is Chamoo's baby. Not that he invented it, but no one was really playing it. It wasn't a major part of the meta until Chamoo started playing it last month, and now with the rise of Agamotto, it has become the meta. And number 6, we have Burs. Burs is on the EU server, an Italian player, phenomenal player, not part of the main Italian meta, but an Italian player and genuinely fantastic at Marvel Snap. He's on the EU server as an Italian, duh. He played 3 decks, Wereclog, Ongoing, and the Derek Havoc list. So the Wereclog list is Werewolf, back when Werewolf was a 3-2 before anyone was playing Werewolf. This was an amazing deck that really, really kicked the meta's butt for a while, and then everyone realized how good Scream was, and this deck sort of had to go away. We'll talk more about Scream later this video, but for the time being, this list was incredible and is probably really good again right now, although no one that I know of is playing it. You can add an extra like Dr. Octopus or whatever here or there for like the White Widow armor stuff, which isn't that great in the current meta, but this is again a very strong list that is really, really rough to beat. From there, we have the Burs Anti-Venom Iron Man list. We'll see another different Anti-Venom Iron Man list later. Sorry, Anti-Venom Gore, whatever. I believe the other one's Anti-Venom Iron Man. This one is running magic as an extra way because what you really want to do with this list is be able to copy your Mystique copy your Iron Man or Gore with Mystique, and then use Sage or Juggernaut to win. And you can do that on either turn 6 or turn 7 because that's usually enough power to win. It's almost like a negative list, negative list. This list is probably super well positioned right now because no one's running anything to really counter magic. Cassandra Nova is great right now, and you're just spiking up power. I wonder how this list plays. Agent and Anti have anti synergy, but nothing else has anti synergy with Agent, and thus you're able to just sort of say, I'll just deal with it and go to town. Very cool list. You can also just do Ravonna shit instead of Agent Venom shit. Either way is totally fine. And then finally, the main deck, Burst Blade, he changed one card. He changed Red Guardian for Luke Cage, thus making the deck cheaper. He played this list. He has a million tips for this, but the big one is unless you see the early Bast, Agent Venom, or Thena, you're mostly passing early until like turn 3, turn 4. Cassandra Nova is once more fantastically, fantastically positioned. This can get overrun in the current meta by the new Agamotto decks, but you have a Luke, which really, really does counter their Doomblade, so you should be in very, very good shape. Bot is a relatively new player on the American server and absolutely crushed with Ika's Anti-Venom ongoing. That's this list. This is an old Ika list, literally card for card. I believe that Bot played Lizard in the speed spot, but speed is slightly better, at least in my opinion. Although, again, having an extra 2-drop, you can do worse. Your goal here, once more, is to anti-venom, hopefully either Iron Man or Spectrum, although Mr. Fantastic, Luke Cage, Sam Wilson, Moonstone, all great hits. If you can copy the right thing, ideally Iron Man, but also hell, sometimes Moonstone, sometimes Speed, sometimes, I mean, literally anything but like Ravonna. If you can copy any of those with Mystique, you're way ahead. You can end the game with Mystique and another 3-drop, or you can end it with Spectrum and just go right over the top of things. This list is very consistent and very strong. Cam Best popularized it, but this is an old Ika shell. Next up, we have Jaco. Jaco, the top Italian player right now, is on the EU server. Actually, he's on the America server, but he lives in the EU because I play him fairly regularly. He played 2 decks, Fudge Mill. Sorry about the misspelling of Fudge. Apparently, I can't type. Fudge Mill and the standard Mr. Negative. So the Fudge Mill list he played was this one, the Luna Snow Mill list. That was very good and very all over the place. Oh no, I messed up my top 5 of next season. We'll talk about that when we get there because I included a Mill list because I forgot Mill was there because Fire Hair is going to take Mill over the frickin' top. But this list is here and it is really, really good. He used this to climb into the top 10 and then he cemented his top spot with a negative list at the end of the season. He played largely the standard Mr. Negative list. I believe potentially with whatchamacallit, Super Skrull in that Wong spot. But like generally speaking, this is the list that he ran with. Right now, I would be running Cassandra Nova if I had it over Ironheart as well. Number 3, BBAK, twitter.com/BBAK_snap. BBAK also won on the China server their like $17,000 tournament along with Johnson and Desmond. So BBAK is an absolute monster. He was number 1 last February on the Infinite Leaderboard. He is on the Asia server. I believe he's great. BBAK played Thanos Zoo, the Scottiskar, and his own negative list. So he began his climb with this Thanos Zoo list, which is really cool. Not super meta, but a really fun and interesting list to start your season with. This is not one of the best, but it's a good list. Then he climbed all the way. He played mostly. He played a little Wiccan, but like largely the Scar list. This is basically the exact same list that Scotta ran for most of the season. Um, It was an amazing list when Arrow was amazing, and it's about to be amazing again in a few days. I didn't include this as one of the decks for the next season because even though it's gone now, people did BBAK did play it last season, and it's going to come back. I'm pretty damn sure once whatchamacallit, Starbrand comes out in a few more days. BBAK was number one last February with negative, and his final climb this season to rank 3 was with Mr. Negative. This is the list he used. Again, Cassandra Nova for Ironheart is what I would run right now into the current meta, but Super Skrull is absolutely amazing. You can again try and run like a Shang-Chi there, whatever else you want. Very cool list, very powerful. We know what negative is. This is a standard negative list. The reason I'm calling it BBAK negative is because no one at Top Infinite really played negative until BBAK did and hit number 1 with it last February. And now it's just like a regular top meta play because it's got such great cube rate because people don't retreat against it appropriately, including me. I just lost to a negative that I shouldn't have lost to yesterday. I should have just ran. But like negative is incredible right now. Number 2 is Derek. Derek is Derek. He's the number 1 player right now on the Infinite Leaderboard. He was number 1 in uh, both August and September of last year. He's on the EU server. He's on the others leaderboard if you're looking for his name. He played Derek ongoing, Thanos, and then the Hela counter at the end when Hela got OP. So Derek ongoing is this first list. It's a pixie list. I love this list. I refuse to delete it from my game. I have a blast with it. This is about as fun as Pixie's ever been. People feel very overpowered against you, and then you're able to beat almost everything with this list just by going so tall. It doesn't really have bad matchups. I think. I mean, I guess Mobius, right? But outside of Mobius, who's sort of disappeared, this list has a ton of power. Agent Venom is insanely good with this kind of list. Next up, we have Derek's version of Thanos. This version was less popular than the previous Crazy List. The Crazy List became very popular, while the Derek list also climbed to rank 3. He didn't play it at the very end of the season, though, which hurt his popularity. Personally, I had more success with this version. This one felt simpler to use for me. Very good list that's probably once more going to end up being an Agamotto list right now. Probably over Emperor Hulkling, and thus it is just different, but still excellent Marvel Snap list. Then finally, Hela was buffed with at the end of the season with the quote unquote nerf to Scar to be a 7/12, and all of a sudden Hela was all over the leaderboard. Hela has fundamentally disappeared now as everyone's in love with Agamotto. Not that Hela's bad. Hela's still got one of the best win rates, but everyone's in love with Agamotto, so Hela has gone down. This Professor X list feasts on Hela. Move had basically disappeared. So this list ended up great, and plus you have Rocket and Groot and Vision and Hydra Bob to get into Professor X lanes. So Derek, apparently a big Hulkling fan, decided to play this list we covered a few days ago on the channel, and it is again an absolutely incredibly strong list in Marvel Snap. Hey, I should be streaming tonight at twitch.tv/PulseGlazer. Please come check me out. Our question, if you'd like to try and win a season pass, we are giving away one this week, is what was your best rank ever? Have you hit Infinite? If not, what was your highest rank? If you have hit Infinite, what was your highest rank in Infinite ever? Thanks for letting me know. All right, number 1 is twitch.tv/Sizer2654, just like it was last season and the season before. So he is on the EU server. He played 3 decks. He's seemingly given up on Move so far this season, and he's currently ranked 2. But he played 3 decks. He played Move, Toxic, and Move Bounce. The Move list is this list that we've seen forever. This list should be incredible right now into the meta. Red Wing was a test. Sometimes Red Wing is Mobius, sometimes Red Wing is Doctor Strange, sometimes Red Wing is lots of different cards. Red Wing can sort of be whatever in that spot, but the rest of the list is just solved. These are the cards that this deck runs. Period. This is an incredible list. Again, very well positioned right now, thanks to Eliath and Cosmo being very strong cards at the moment. From there, we have Toxic Sizer update. This is the same list he played the season before to get to Infinite. And this month, he added Psylocke and Sam Wilson. Cool. You're running 3/4 drops, and Psylocke gives you an extra way to do that. Also, if you're forced to play Psylocke with if you play Zabu and you get Malekith, Antivenom, or Malekith or Antivenom as a 3, you can play that on turn 5 with Psylocke, and then you can go Ajax and Zabu, which is very strong. And Sam Wilson basically is Red Guardian was very prominent, and he got sick of getting his Luke Cage hit by Red Guardian. So you play Luke Cage on the shield lane, and then it's protected. That's basically what you're doing here. Finally, we have Sizes Move Bounce, Shock of Shocks. The Move Bounce list, it did get one change. Hulkbuster became the last spot because on turn 5, Hulkbuster is insane. You can play Hulkbuster on turn 5 on one of your cards, your Dagger, your Torch, or your Vulture, and then you can frigate it, which is going to give you an extra insanely strong thing to do at the end of the game. It makes Frigga significantly better in the list. I was a big endorser of that spot being Penny Parker, but Penny's thing being a 3/3 versus Hulkbuster being a 2/3 did end up making the difference at the end of the day, because you can also drop a Hulkbuster on a card. Like if you Iron Fist, then drop Hulkbuster on Human Torch, the Iron Fist will then activate after the Hulkbuster attaches. Same thing for Ghost Spider. You can play that Hulkbuster on Dagger or Vulture or whatever, and then Ghost Spider that over, which is incredibly strong as a way to go about things. If you beasted that, you can do that all on turn 5 and end up just with crazy, crazy turns and crazy, crazy power. Awesome, awesome list. Hulkbuster really did add another dimension. I'm not convinced this isn't the best list in Marvel Snap, but I literally know of like 1 or 2 people playing it in the game right now. Maybe I'll go back and play it since no one else is now. All right, giveaway winners. We have Maciel, Maria Paz. Hey, Maria won. I was so happy when that popped up. And Elma Seayo. So please reach out in the ways that are on the screen to claim your Agamottos. Next up, we've got the top 5 decks to watch in March. We've got Butts, Fours Galore. That's going to be our Agamotto list. It's also our lead deck from this morning if you want a full guide. We've got Alliance Lowell, Screamamoto, which was in Friday's list. People seem to have forgotten Scream. Scream should absolutely feast on the Agamotto lists everywhere. We've got the Shuri Starbrand list. We'll take a look at that. Crime of Foot's Mill, which is my big mess up here because Mill was on the previous season. Sorry about that. And Desperate Jill's Kazoo. Now, one more thought. Hela would be here, but I fully expect Hela to be nerfed. If you want to talk about the Hela list, we did the top 5 decks in Marvel Snap, and that Hela list is there. So if you're curious, check that out. So Desperate Jill Kazoo is the last list I expect to be really good. We'll talk about each of them one at a time. Last season we did this, and every single list we talked about ended up being one of the best lists in Marvel Snap, so we've got a pretty good hit rate for this. Butts Fours the New 3 is the deck from this morning. It is fundamentally saying, what if we go all in on 4s in order to basically beat everything else? And it's a really, really powerful and interesting list. I don't know what else to say except that this one's real good and very much worth messing around with. The extra consistently that Iron Lad and Anti-Venom add really does take the list over the top. I think this is a little harder to pilot than maybe the Loki list, but every bit as powerful. From there we go, a Starbrand is born. This is a list I created based on that old Derek list, which is based on the old Shuri Red Skull list. The big question I have here is Shuri going to be right? Am I going to want Shang or Red Guardian in this list? Potentially. It's hard to say. But outside of that, I think the other cards are basically right. If we don't run Shuri, we're also going to cut Vision. And then we can run some more tech cards. But basically, the idea here is if I can go Shuri into Vision, I can play like a Red Skull and an Ebony Maw at the end of the game. I'm assuming I played Sauron. Or I can play a like Cosmo and Starbrand at the end of the game, that kind of thing, and just go way over the top. And I think that's going to be incredibly, incredibly powerful. Iron Patriot and Starbrand, like Starbrand's basically guaranteed win of Iron Patriot lane, and then I can always Enchantress that lane later in order to really go over the top. And then I've got that extra cheap card that I can play. Like this list seems like it's going to be completely freaking busted. I don't think there's enough Shang to beat this, and even so, it runs Cosmo. So yeah, this one's going to be disgusting. I'm very worried about how good this list is going to be. From here, we have Scream. Everyone forgot about Scream. Scream should absolutely beat the crap out of Agamotto. Scream is the best mid-range deck in the game. We might want to run Shang-Chi here, but Lowell climbed with this version. I fully expect this or a version of this to be near the top, fundamentally until Scream gets nerfed. Scream is the best and most underrated card in the game, arguably the single best card in Marvel Snap right now. Next up, we have the Firehair Mill. This is based off Crime of Foot's build, which is based off Fudge's build. Firehair should break this list, right? Misery on Yondu and Hood saying, I've got an extra, I've got like 2 extra triggers because Firehair will trigger and then Misery will trigger them just seems completely bonkers. I can Killmonger off my Yondu and Hood and get extra demons that way with Firehair. I can Misery my Iron Patriot and just get an extra card that way. Like there's a bajillion completely insane things I can do with Firehair in this list. Hell, I can like if they're dropping enough big stuff, if the what's his name? Starbrand stuff goes everywhere, I can Misery Shang-Chi and then Firehair will Shang-Chi another lane. Yeah, I don't know. This list seems completely freaking broken to me. I don't know what else to say. Yes, Mill was great last season. I expect it to be, if Firehair comes out as is, one of the best decks in the game, if not the best. Finally, we have Desperate Jill Kazoo. No one plays Kazoo. Um, this list has like a 65% win rate. And unless Killmonger absolutely takes it over, and even then it can run Kyara, I could see this list staying all season. And if Firehair underperforms in any way, shape, or form, this could be the best deck. This just puts up stats. Like, if you're not playing, if you want a simple deck to climb and win with, Desperate Jill Kazoo is the way to go, I think. The Shang in it is absolutely brilliant and does take it to another level, although this was already a really, really great list. That's it. If you'd like to see gameplay from these lists, perhaps currently still streaming is Gregor2424. Go check it out. And I will be streaming tonight at Pulse Glazer. Come watch. Certain tiers of support on our Patreon come with on-air thanks. I'm going to say thank you to first Absolute Shannon, our patron of the month, the great Abigail Giesel. What's up, AG? My initials too. Mandatory Burnout, my alliance leader. What's up, Burnout? It, regardless, it is a word. Always kind. LAB, the Graphite Fan Inc. I am Frostman, who sure is, see on stream, bud. Hota Navarrete, Thinking Poker podcast, if you want to get some great poker strategies that will just make you a better thinker. Primed Ryan of the Primed Mind app. Check it out for some great coaching on basically keeping your mentality right. And he also is sponsoring our current Snap Judgment League season, so do check that out. Ryan Burkev, Ryan Wood, Woody. Check out Ryan Wood _YouTube YT to check his great videos. Koi Ray, quite rude, that Koi Ray. Kazushi, quite kind, that Kazushi. Archangel 3K ends the 4K. Black Dahlia, Perifrost, and the Goat Seeker. A bunch of our wonderful, wonderful alliance leaders. Hallowed, swallowed. Nightmare, how you doing, Nightmare? Only Fox, Synth, Fat Nick, Dirty, Casual, Mr. Kerfuffle, Cables, Ginger Prime, Ratcoat, Philip Brakovich, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, The Bizza, Black Jeebus 23, Extra Speed and Skippy G, Jessica Gamble, Sloosh Diff, Kinger Bros, Great Kazoo, Werewolf, Kev, Sehodot, Loner Chris, Clam, Colonel Foreman. Whew. Rob Silverman, M. Holland, David G. Wingfield, Steven, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, Jason B., Mr. Craig Sterry, Matt V., Ran Wrench, Corbin, John Q, and Jim McHugh down. You stout. 8th, Sage, 1 big man. Milkman, 4 reels. Cactus Jack, not mankind. PG, Quid Pro Joe. Snap Decisions Joe. Check out the Snap Decisions podcast, please. Models Mod Supreme, Green Goblin, the best Osborne of all. Unibot, Uni, Flan 56, my least favorite dessert, but one of my favorite patrons. The Fuzzy Not Spectrum Mix, Hoot, Ocularis, what's up, AQ, Matt H, the only one we need. Excuse me, DJ, Mikey, Hijinks, no frickin' flex, Nick, the Greek Geek, Zodrex, the King of Canada, 10 Man Falcon, Newman, it's great, Falthor Newman, Jonesy, Two Ties, Laura Devs, the Pirate King Tucker, and of course Gunny T, where the T stands for. That's it for your second video. We will cover Starbrand real well tomorrow, so make sure you don't miss that, and we'll see you soon for some more Snap Take. Peace.